what's up, everyone? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilhound. Happy to see you guys. Good morning. So this is the Pocket Change Market Report, November 12th, 2023. Now, a lot of you are going to be viewing this on the 13th. I had received, actually, a request from a viewer. Hey, Blue Ridge, I'd like to see a Pocket Change Market Report after the weekend had occurred. I want to know if these things still sell over the weekend when people are normally out and about, or they're watching football, or whatever the case may be. And I thought to myself, well, it kind of throws off my schedule a little bit, but sure, I'll go ahead and indulge the request of the viewer, and that's totally fine, because now I'm kind of curious too. Is the market as hot over the weekend as it is, say, Thursdays and Fridays, when, normally people get paid, and, there's not too many, things going on, right? People are still working during these days. And I will say that, yeah, there is still quite the fair amount of listings. There's a lot of stuff that's still being sold. There's even more stuff that's being found today that's being sold over the weekend. Now, we have to put into perspective that when folks find errors and varieties out in the wild, whether that's through pocket change or they're going through coin roll hunting, we have to remember that a lot of this activity happens over the weekend. All right, it's kind of like that, the best time where there's more free time for a lot of folks to do this kind of activity. And as a result, and I've brought this up on a number of occasions, when listings happen, they generally happen over the weekend, and then you run them for 5 to 7 days, so that way they either end on a Friday or they end during the weekend day, which is more than ideal to maximize the amount of money that you can make off of these coins. So, it was no surprise that I was able to not only chronicle the activities, but also see a heightened amount of sales as well over the course of 48 hours, and that's Saturday and Sunday, but also see that there is a more diversity of different type of errors and varieties. As a matter of fact, when I look down the list here, we have a fair amount of not only coins, but currency as well. That's all mixed in there. I know there's a lot of psychology that goes into it, but I figured I'd take a moment to kind of explain it. Seeing as how this is dropping on a Monday morning, and I'm sure that a fair amount of you is still expecting the regularly scheduled Monday market report, which we will still get today, by the way. That'll drop this afternoon. So, yeah, let's go ahead and kill the curiosity by showing you guys what has been selling here and ending on the weekends. I also want to mention that we don't talk about graded coins. Keep that money in your pocket. This is generally an expense that is not needed on these type of coins. If you know how to diagnose a US Mint error, or if you know how to attribute a die variety, like a double to die, or a repunch mint mark, or a transitional, then you're going to have no problem selling it regardless of what the grade is. You're going to see some big, huge banging coins on this list that at first glance you're like, wow, I can't believe they didn't grade it. Well, guess what? You don't need to, right? Because it still sells for, whatever the top of the market is. And we're going to use the original photos. We have some doozies here for you. You're going to get the best and worst photos that these sellers had thrown out there. I guess you kind of want to know what the low bar is being set. The expectation is for doing the photography, and people aim to please and disappoint all at the same time. At least you're going to get both views there to show you guys what you need to do to be successful. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's not waste any more of your times. We have our first lot. We don't talk about lots that much, but we do have a couple really good lots here. I tell you folks that there's nothing wrong with buying on eBay and then flipping. There are times when, listings are being sold in overnight. I've seen some pretty big coins sell for really cheap when they end at like 2 a.m. in the morning, okay? You don't want to do that. You want to at least, kind of end your listings at a cap of 9 o'clock at night each and every single day. You don't want to go beyond that. because oftentimes, guess what? You know, the good old human anatomy requires it's 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Some of us, 4 to 5 hours. And we're simply just not available, to pick up coins, regardless of what they are or how crazy they are. And another thing also to keep in mind is bulk lots. When you sell in bulk, when you sell in quantities above, I would say 2, that means you're willing to accept less money per piece when you sell them all together. So we have this first lot of 4 either off-center or broadstruck coins. Some pretty decent dates. We have a couple of 1964s here. It looks like the bottom right coin is also a 64. There are reverse pictures, but they're all scattered around. This one's all grouped together. At the very least, you can get to see all 4 all in one shot here. So it sold for $29 with 2 bids. And the question is the $7 per piece worth it? It kind of is, especially on these earlier dates. Now, it'd be a different story if we were looking at post-1982 copper-coated zinc coins, which are rife with issues. Number one, lots of carbon spotting and zinc rot on those coins. But they're also much more later. Okay, we see more of those out in the marketplace, whereas the earlier dates, not as frequently. But we also have 4 very nice looking coins. Lots of mid-state red on the top 2. $7 a piece. If it were me, I'd take these 4 coins and resell them at the very least $19.99 a piece. Take advantage of that plain white envelope shipping method when you go to resell on eBay, and then really make some money here on this one. So $29. Yeah, I'm a buyer all day long for that amount of money. All right, here's our first piece of currency on the list. This one's kind of cool. If you blink, you'll miss it. It's a 1988 $1 bill. At first glance, it just looks like a pretty well-weathered $1 bill. We could all agree on that. This one has been through many wallets and many cash registers over its lifetime. When we look at the reverse here, wow, crazy. We don't see anything, particularly weird on this. Now, when we go to this next shot here, you're going to see right there on the very left leading edge, not quite into the margin, but into the design, we see what we call a gutter fold. And a gutter fold is caused simply just by an errant wrinkle in the subject sheet prior to the printing process. So when you have that, you're going to have a print over above the wrinkle. When it stretches out, you have a clear gutter of unprinted area. And that's what we have here in this case. Pretty neat effect. $31 with 3 bids. I think because of where it's located on that left edge, right to the end of this design. It doesn't sell for nearly as much as some of the others do. But still pretty cool nonetheless. And, you always have to look at the note, both sides, front and back, in its entirety. You just never know what someone else has missed, you'll find, and then, subsequently cash in on. All right, the year 2000 is a very magical year for specifically one reason, okay? Actually, 2 reasons. We could say it's the change of the millennia. At the time before the calendar flipped over to the new year, people were speculating that, computers and mainframes and systems were all going to take a raging dump. And it turns out it didn't, The year 2000 also signified the final year where you could find the FS901 wide AM reverse, which simply means that the mint inadvertently used proof dies, specifically the reverse die is intended for proof coinage to be used, and it does have a little bit of a design variance on there, which is the wide gap there between the A and M in America, whereas normal 2000 dated Lincolns will have the A&M touching at the base, and this one is in particularly nice shape. This one sold for $21, okay? Not too bad considering it's mid-state red, and that, these are kind of like the bottom feeders of some of the more common varieties to find out there. It's still a cherry picker's guide, but the mint produced way too many of these. The one rare date, the 1999, if you did find one in this condition, that is the one aberration. You know, it's a coin that's worth routinely over $100 in nice mid-state red condition. Probably not one that you'll encounter in pocket change, but it's worth talking about because, you know, also the part of the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, is actually having the ability to go to a coin shop or a coin show and recognizing a coin that maybe might be priced too cheap. That would be this coin here. It's a Jefferson nickel from way back in the 1900s, folks, because, you know, we're old like that. The secondary strike is approximately 70% off center. It does feature a uniface on the reverse, which means that there was either another blank planchet or another coin that was overlapped during the strike. All right, that's second strike. Pretty nice looking coin, very dramatic looking. Collectors love these regardless if they have a full date or not, although bonus points if you have a full date at least on one of the strikes, but if you had both strikes have a full date, that is a true rarity there, and those sell into the hundreds of dollars. This one right here is sold for Giddy $69 with 25 bids. You know, again, this is probably more on the higher side, but you know, anything goes for this time of year. We generally see a 10 to 20% overall bump in the sales of all errors and varieties, you know, just because of the time of year. Everybody is all in on the hobby at this point. 1995 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Such a beautiful mid-state obverse red look, but flip it over and it's, wow, what the heck happened here? So yeah, this is a double to die obverse. This is a very well-known one that, you know, shook the scene back 28 years ago. Can't believe I just said that. Makes me feel that much more older. I remember this coin because it was featured on a few news sites, you know, ABC News and Fox News and all that stuff. This one really made a huge impact, and it's a very dramatic one as well. As you can see, the strong doubling in liberty and the motto "In God We Trust." You guys know this one. You know, even in this one with that weird kind of like brown oxidized reverse, it could have been a roll ender. Kind of hard to say. Did sell for $33.98. Not the $200 to $300 like it did back in '95 when they were first discovered, but hey, I'll take $33 today, no problem. Here's a really nice $2 bill. And yeah, we could see kind of a shifted print here. Now, is it the overprint or the second print, which is the base black design of the note? Well, when we look at it, it looks like it's miscut. All right. When we look at the reverse, it's perfectly centered. So it's got to be that second print that's off center here. The overprint is actually perfectly centered on the note itself. Which can be a little bit deceiving. Some would say, whoa, this is a misaligned third print. Well, not really. When you look at the secondary print on here, where it's, you know, it's like $2 and United States of America and all that, yeah, there was a sheet shift there before that was printed. So this one right here, folks, sold for $43.65 with 11 bids. Very strong sale for something that is relatively minor, considering that you still have a little bit of a margin on those top and right areas of the note. Again, you know, compare it to the reverse, and you'll know that it's a misaligned print. This one's really cool, and very seldomly do we see these pop up online, especially on eBay, where you could, you know, honestly say, wow, that's a pretty nice coin. 1964 Lincoln Memorial Cent has a really big variety, folks. It's the FS801 double die reverse. Extra brownie points to the fact that this one's a full mid-state red, albeit not the best looking mid-state red. Probably, you know, 63 type grade in my opinion. But when we look at some of the strongest doubling on any Lincoln Cent series, you know, this one definitely ranks in the top 25 for the strength. If you look at, you know, like the S, it states, you know, E pluribus unum is quite strong. America, lots to love here with this coin, and a very, very scintillating coin. Now, this one was quite the affordable sale here at $38.33 with 13 bids. 10 years ago, I was buying these in similar condition for between $50 and $80. Yeah, call me crazy, but they weren't nearly as plentiful as they are today. I think some folks have cracked open some BU rolls over the years and had found quite a few of these and have entered more of them into the marketplace. But if you were looking to possibly add a piece to your collection that is quite dramatic, look no further. This is a good one right here to add to your collection. If you have one, good news, they're worth a nice little chunk of change. So one seller, excuse me, by the way, featured some pretty nice looking error notes. We have 3 of them back to back here, all from the same seller. Here's a 1969 $1 bill with what looks to be an ink smear, and that's exactly what it is. More appropriately named, it's a solvent smear, which, as you know, the ink that's used by the BEP is also diluted down with a little bit of the solvents, to thin them out a little bit more for easier spread and all that great stuff. And yeah, this is no doubt about it, a good one here. Very legit. It's the type of note that, again, you don't need to grade if you can absolutely avoid it. Did sell for $43.69 with 18 bids. And with solvent smears, you generally do not have any pass-through of that ink on the back of the note. All right. And a solvent smear where the back is involved will have a big green splotch. All right. You won't have black on the green side. You won't have green on the black side. When you do see that, it's fake. That's it. That's your tip of the day when you're looking for these type of notes. 2004 A $20 bill. This one's been known and famous for a while. Where is that green district seal over the word 20? Yeah, it was inadvertently left off. Now, this is the date to look for these. 2004 A. Very, very well-worn example, too. These particular paper money errors tend to go by unnoticed by a lot of folks, until you get the one person that actually knows what they're looking for, ends up cashing in pretty good on something like this. When we look at the reverse there, just shows, the amount of wear. It even has a kind of like a pinkish top left teller mark, which they mark in the straps. But overall, just a decent looking example. And again, I'm happy to say that these things still sell for what they've been selling for years. $93.79 with 24 bids. These are generally $80 to $100 notes in this condition. Much nicer, crispy, uncirculated pieces tend to sell for hundreds. So if you do come across one without the green district seal, keep it. It's worth, at the very least, a tank of gas with today's gas price money. And oh boy, pretty neat here. 53A $5 legal tender red seal. Check that out. We got a little bit of a butterfly fold on the bottom left-hand corner. There was just a little corner fold that was printed over because you can see a little bit of the black base design of the front of the note on that little tiny butterfly there. It still blows my mind when I see people tear this off. I actually caught a bank teller do that once when they were going through a strap of notes, and there were a few of them in there. She ripped one off. I told her, don't do that. And she said, well, I have to. It won't go through the counter that way. I'm like, it's okay. You don't need to do that. I'll take it. So I ended up, there was like 3 or 4 notes out of the bunch that had it, and she did tear 2 of them. Oh man, way to take a note that normally, well, in this case, this one sold for $92.79 with 10 bids. Great way to take a note that's has a value of like $50, and these are like $1 bills when I got them, and turned them back into $1 bills. So there you go. That's the fun story of the day there, and hopefully when you do come across it, don't do it. These are quite minor, but the bigger ones, you'll definitely not tear those. You'll recognize that those are true paper money errors, and you'll leave them alone just the way they are. All right, well, nothing too crazy here. No readable date, okay, which plays into the collectability and the secondary resale market of such coins. Anything off-center without a date, it sells for less, anywhere from 20-30% less than one with a full readable date. This Jefferson nickel is off-center by about 45-50%. It's close, for being halfway there. And this one sold for $34.79. Okay, pretty good. That's actually not too bad of a sale for a coin without a readable date. And but if it did, it'd probably sell for about $50. All right, because it's just that nice. All right, we don't feature old coins too often, but you just never know what you're going to find at a coin shop or a show for next to nothing. This is a 1883 no sense Liberty V nickel with some weakness to the strike there. It's a strike through of some kind, whether it's a filled die or there genuinely was grease on both the obverse and reverse dies prior to the strike of this coin, but still a really neat look. The date's almost completely missing, but considering it has no sense on the reverse, we can determine what date it is anyways, even if the entire date was missing. $29 with 3 bids, which is not a huge premium. Keep in mind that mint errors on such coins like this, which has more numismatic value because of their age. A mint error of this type, which some would call probably minor, may not necessarily add more value to a coin. All right, so something to keep in mind. I'm not going to say don't take them too seriously. Just don't overpay for them if they're diagnosed as a mint error on like a 2x2 at a shop or whatever. So, yeah, pretty nice one here. So, yeah, I told you we have a good fair amount of currency. Now, this one, we could say there's a shifted overprint there. So you can see the green district seal and the serial numbers are all shifted upwards. Quite minor on this 1995 $5 bill, but still a good one to just keep aside. When you have like serial numbers overlapping, other base designs on the front, that's meaningful. And because of that, this one sold for $72.15. Wow. Nice little chunk of change there. 4 bids, by the way, so it was definitely bid up to that. Looking at the reverse, everything looks in order here. Nice centered reverse margins. And nothing else. Just a little circulation wear. Now here's our next big lot. Now, that's not 32 coins, but it's 16 coins with all of the obverse photos and then all the reverse photos. I just paired them together here. So what do we need to know about this? Well, let me go ahead and lead off on how much it did sell for, because this is quite crazy. $229.50, 36 bids. I think someone was there was a number of people definitely lost in the sauce on this one. Because when you look at each of the coins, there's only really one coin that warrants a big premium, and it's the nickel, because it has a readable date. It's 1980. You know exactly what it is. But all the other coins featured here have no readable dates, and from what looks to be, they're all, I would say, like 13 of them are all copper-coated Zinkins, okay, which is kind of a big deal, because those particular coins without dates, they're generally like $6 to $8 coins. So this was a gross overpay. The rationale is, someone will buy this and they'll either really add a nice collection of coins to their collection and just enjoy it the way it is and good for them. But on a resale level, yeah, this is way too stiff of a price to pay for all these coins where, typically that you're not going to make the money back, when you go to resell them. So, I mean, there is a chance that you could just resell the lot and get close to what you paid for it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Yeah, this is a lot more. You know, I'd like to see maybe $100 on this lot, and that would have been more than fair. But, you know, over 2 times that is quite a bit more. Again, let's use our heads here. Let's do a little research. You know, make sure that you examine each coin to ensure that there's some readable dates on there. That's where your premium's at. Because that's what collectors care about. They collect by dates on these things. So, yeah, pretty crazy. This is one of the more crazier sales of the week. Congrats to the seller for really hitting this one home. That was a good sale. And check out your scrap silver, guys. There's a lot to find there. Quarters especially. A lot of really strong doubled dies. This one on the obverse. 1934. Check this out. Bam. That is a true money shot there. I mean, there's no disputing that this one's a doubled die. Look at the TNR and Trust. All right. Which, in my estimation, are probably the 2 strongest letters exemplifying the doubling that is on this coin. But nonetheless, $55.75 was the sale price on this one. That is phenomenal, considering that you can buy this thing for $6 today. You know, if silver was being sold at just above 20 times face, yeah, you're going to be right around $5.50, $6 for this one. And that's a great flip there. Even if you don't wind your collection, just know if you're able to take decent pictures and a really good close-up of the doubling, oh man, that's going to be a home run there. 1943 S. Steely. All right. Yeah, pretty nice here. It doesn't look like it's replated, but the surface of it is kind of unnatural, which leads me to believe it's been circulated a little bit or cleaned. You know, it's just got, you know, for as nice of a condition it is, it doesn't have any luster whatsoever, nothing flashy. But enough about that. This is a pretty good sale here. A double retained cut reverse, or a pre-cut on both sides, or twice on the back of the coin. Right next to the wheat stocks. So on the right side and the left side. The left side, there was actually an exiting die crack. I know on the right side, you do have a little bit of displacement there, all right, which is important for a pre-cut. The left, maybe a slight displacement, nothing too crazy, but yeah, there is some there. Give me a second. All of a sudden, my throat's getting dry. I've come to a conclusion that this same time every year, when the weather gets cold, things begin to kind of like turn funky when I go to talk on these videos. Yeah, but these are, at least one or both, as they turn into a full-blown cut. All right, but when you have the cracks there on the dies that show the fracturing, you know, the pieces are still there. They haven't fallen out yet, but they'll, you know, show up as this on the finished product. So this one sold for $20.55 with 3 bids. Strong sale, considering that I have my doubts on the overall originality of the coin. Again, I believe it might have been cleaned. It's just way too gray and flat for it to be anything else. Well, it's still relevant to talk about. 2023 Extra V Lincolns still making an impact. Yeah, you know, we are still in 2023, so that makes sense. So this one has the Extra V anomaly next to the initials of Victor David Brenner there on the right side. No reverse picture on this one. Again, you know, good rule of thumb. Take a full picture of the obverse and reverse, because if there's something on the reverse that's not being shown, that could actually work against you. There's nothing worse than selling a coin for very strong money and then the seller having to unwind and return it because you didn't bring up the fact that there was a big contact mark on the reverse or a carbon spot. So yeah, make sure you take that full reverse too, regardless of what it looks like. But $76 for this one, which is the top level amount of money for these coins these days. These generally sell for around 30 to 50 on average. the low end, because a lot of these had circulated by now. They were found way back in like March and April. Pretty cool one here. We don't know what the date is because there's a big blob of stuff on top of the date, and that's just a cut die break, right? Piece of the die had fallen out at this point. And yeah, that's it. We do know it's a Denver coin, at the very least. Probably from the 70s or 80s, you know. That would be my guess. But pretty cool here. I mean, you know, one of my favorite varieties, of course, Cuds or Kings. You know, I've kind of coined that term, and everybody's been using it out there in the community. You know, and the reason why I say that is that you can always rely on a nice size Cud die break for a really strong sale price. This one sold for $28.99 with 6 bids, so not too bad here on this one. I've seen them sell for more, but still, this one's still not too bad of a price. Talk about the worst of the worst. I mean, number one, way out of focus. All right, way out of focus pictures. I mean, fortunately, we know what it is. It's the Wilma Mankiller double-sided retained cut, okay, which we know as being one of the big powerhouses in modern pocket change finds today. Yeah, but put the damn coin down. Don't hold it in your hand like that. You know, it's a pet peeve of mine, only because, number one, you know you're going to be getting your fingerprints all over them. And number two, if you got dirty hands, that plays into the presentation quality of the coin. I mean, you know, there is a black background, and that works really well with any coin of a light color, you know, nickel, silver, things like that. So definitely use that to your advantage. And when you're holding a coin, sometimes that extra depth perception error is hard to read on your camera. All right, cameras are much better than they were 10 years ago, but they're still not perfect. So yeah, another big coin here, 2022p Wilma Mankiller, biggest coin of the last like 5 years, I would say. $343.25 with 25 bids, so it's still a very big seller this day and age. And if you're looking for some extra Christmas money, look for these things. They're a hit. 1999 Lincoln Memorial Cent, just a really nice centered broadstrike. Very nice one, too. Nothing crazy or distracting about it, no carbon spotting. Just a really good wholesome coin, but very common date. This one sold for $29.78. Here's another Cud die break, this time on a large date, 1982 copper. You can see that there. Pretty easy to see. It kind of hits you pretty hard when you look at it. So this one right here is one that sold for $101 with 4 bids. You know, there is a little bit of a chase to collect one of each date type and mint mark with a Cud. And there is at least one of each. I can tell you that right now. So the pursuit is quite amazing here. And yeah, the 82s above any other date around it sells for quite a bit of money because of that. I would say, yeah, this one was kind of a hit right here. The searcher, the finder of this coin, struck riches when they found this Delaware state quarter with a missing reverse clad layer. So the nickel layer completely gone. We have exposed copper here, folks, on this one. Wow. Cannot believe that this coin had circulated for so long until it was finally discovered. I mean, this is hard to miss and easy to find. Philadelphia is the mint mark, by the way, in case you're wondering. But $503.66. And they say that you have to grade errors of this ilk. You don't have to. This one looks to be about an XF45 AU50 type grade level, in my opinion. But wow, what a really cool find. Congratulations to the finder, the seller, which I would imagine is the finder, and the buyer. This is a truly nice piece. I'm sure it'll look good in full mint state red as well, but even one like this, I mean, that's the cool part about missing clad layer coins. is that in just about every condition possible, except one that's like fallen apart or corroded, that they're all incredibly just attractive to look at. So glad to see this one here and to bear witness of it. Very nice coin. 1963A $10 bill. Boy, oh boy, man, I miss these older design notes. So what do we have here on this one? We have actually a mismatched serial number. The second number in the serial numbers is completely different. We have a 4 in one, 3 in the other. Yeah, I would say look out for these. I don't know how many of you actually read the serial numbers, but if you're doing fancy serial number searches, you might as well look for this as well. Maybe not necessarily on this older $10 bill, but how about the newer $2 bills? And some of the newer 5s and 10s as well, where they use the new machinery to do the overprint. But yeah, pretty cool. Nice note too. The one thing, it does have a margin tear on the right side on that reverse there. $450.99. Yep, just a stupid, ridiculously priced note and very justified. Now here's a much better looking Wilma Mankiller double-sided retained cud. Yeah, I mean, pretty nice one too. Hard to believe that this one sold for less, considering the fact that it's much clearer photos and looks better. $260.25. I would say is a steal on this one. And yeah, I mean, we don't see these too often that are ungraded. But this one has definitely been cleaned. It's got some pretty wild, swirly hairlines on here indicating the clean factor to it. But it's a 1942/1 overdate mercury dime. All right, so when we look up closer, you can see the big one in between the 4 and the 2 right there. Nuts! I mean, really cool. This one right here sold for $447.28. I mean, I guess it kind of represents kind of like the bargain edition of this coin, because it's been cleaned and it doesn't look the greatest. So, but yeah, there you go. And the final coin of the day is this 1935 Lincoln wheat cent off center by about 15%. Really nice one here. I love the look of these coins in this particular grade shape. AU brown, little hints of red. Again, the further back you go, the more relevant that these coins are to collectors of this type. This one sold for $66.24. So, well, there you go. Video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly, but there you go. That's your kind of like your catch-all weekend edition of the PCMR, showing both Saturday and Sunday realized sales. Kind of different. It's weird dropping this on Monday. I might have another one here in 2 days, so yeah, you're going to get another one for you. Appreciate your guys' views and support. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Have a nice, easy rest of your week. Have a great Monday. And I'll see you guys on the next video. So long.